y SACIR 3,9%. Ahora ya sí podemos ir al metaverso. Como decimos, vamos a contar en los próximos minutos con Candriam. Más concretamente, hablamos ahora con Johan Van Der Biest, es Senior Fund Manager en Candriam Asset Management. Johan, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon.
Thank you so much for having us a few minutes. This interview, Johan, comes just the right moment after the market punished Meta last week so hard for investing much money in the metaverse and virtual reality. However, at Candriam, do you strongly believe the metaverse is the future? Why? Why is the reason?
This is a very interesting question indeed, but there are a lot of moving parts. And I don't think necessarily that this move is really completely linked to the belief or non-belief that metaverse has a future or not. I think it really translates more the credibility issues that Mark Zuckerberg is accumulating. And these issues are not only related to metaverse investments, but of course, there is clearly a link to this, to his massive investments in metaverse. And I do have the impression that Zuckerberg is seeing the metaverse as a revolution in the technology sector rather than an evolution. And by doing so, he puts massive amounts of money into this concept to have this first mover advance. But I'm not sure this strategy will work. But maybe in a couple of years, we will look back and still say, okay, Mark Zuckerberg was a genius and he had really this unbelievable vision of the future. So that's a little bit on how Meta Platforms is thinking about metaverse. This said, we believe that metaverse is more kind of an evolution that started in the consumer space, in the gaming space, but there are really interesting applications in education, in the industrial world, in healthcare, and these are exactly the opportunities that we are after. One of the most important or interesting parts of metaverse is digital twins. So it's a digital copy of a city, of a car, of a building, and it constantly evolves in tandem with the real world because it is fed really by data that are coming from the real world. And as such, you have on every single moment, you have a perfect copy of the real world. And it is clear that there are a lot of efficiency gains to be made, to be created with the digital twins. So yes, we are firm believers in the metaverse concept, but more on the industrial and educational side, more than on the pure consumer side.
And according to you, according to Candriam, you believe in 7-8 years the global metaverse market would be worth more than $5 trillion. That's big, that's important, and this is one of the reasons why you created the fund MetaGlobe at Candriam Equities. Which is your investment philosophy in this fund?
Yeah, sure. But just to make sure, this $5 trillion is just an estimate from McKinsey. It's not ourselves that have done this research, but McKinsey in July, they created a report and tried to estimate how big the metaverse could become. And the estimates are really varying a lot. And that's one of the reasons is clearly that metaverse is still in its very early innings. But to come back on the investment philosophy, it is clear that metaverse will become a huge opportunity for an investor. And the way that we are trying to invest in metaverse is as follows. As metaverse, like I just said, is still in its very early innings, it is difficult to find companies that have already a large revenue exposure to the theme, because that's how most of the thematic funds select their companies, just by the percentage of revenue that can be linked directly to the thematic. But here, as it is still very early, we are focusing on companies where there is a clear link to the metaverse, mostly because of their technological relevance. Really, if they have technology that is really needed to create the metaverse, then we are starting to invest in it. Or sometimes companies have really this spending intentions and their clear willingness to embrace the metaverse concept. And we divide the companies that we think are interesting into two buckets. The first one, we call it the metaverse backbone, and the second one is really the metaverse applications. And by metaverse backbone, I mean all the, let's say, infrastructure that you need to have to deploy the metaverse. And I'm thinking about cloud and edge computing. I'm thinking about VR or AR headsets. I'm thinking about blockchain, cybersecurity, networking, data centers. That's really the first part of our investment thesis. And the second one is the applications part. And now we are in the educational part of the business. We are talking about digital twins, like I already mentioned, talking about virtual designs. So these two buckets for us, these are really the most important opportunity to invest in. And as you can see, this portfolio is built in such a way that in the highly unlikely event that metaverse would not take off, you are still left with a portfolio with highly interesting and innovative technologies that will be exposed to many other megatrends. So even if you are not a believer in the metaverse, or even if this concept doesn't take off, you are still left with a very interesting portfolio.
Johan Van Der Biest, thank you so much for bringing us this metaverse universe. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the interest.
Pues nosotros nos quedamos con esa clave de inversión, con este fondo